Specifically in North Carolina, though, was there any sort of like local rap scene that you were a part of? When did you tap in with it? I'm sure there was, but it probably took a little while for you to discover it.
It wasn't until I got to college. I went to NC State, and where I'm from is a small country town. The rap scene was the back of the bus, or you might go to somebody's crib and they just freestyling while they roll up blunts. That was probably the extent of the rap scene where I grew up. So I went to college at NC State, and I was working at Foot Action, and I met who became my best friend, a guy named Charlie Smarts. And he introduced me to the Raleigh rap scene. Like, he would take me to beat battles. He was in a band, so I started going to shows, and it's like I'm really finding my way, like, learning who the Justice League is. At this time, I didn't even know who Little Brother and Ninth Wonder were. So he introduced me to all of that, and that's how I kind of got in it. Like, I went to a lot of shows, and though I knew I always wanted to do it, I had examples of, this is how it feels, and this is where you start at, like, in a small place, but you feel the energy. He took me to my first studio. He's the one that told me, like, to get on the mic for the first time. So I'm experiencing all of these things probably my sophomore on up in college.
And that's invaluable stuff, because a lot of people who really want to make it in the rap world, they're just so fucking clueless because they don't have any actual, like, real life interaction with it. And that's kind of the main best thing you could get.
Yeah, no, you gotta be of the culture and start there. Like, we started a hip hop organization on campus, and we would go back to the grassroots. Like, every Friday we would have a cypher. Friday night, or we rent out the event center in the bottom of the dorm, and we had rap battles, and I was always the host. Like, it felt like 8 Mile, but on campus. Like, the energy, like, and learning, like, this is really what the culture is, and how it's supposed to be in free expression and rhyme. Like, that's where I started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. Do you feel like when you look back on it, did you take it for granted? Because to have like a truly vibrant scene like that is a rare thing. To have that many young people just all around each other are that excited about music.
Yeah. What was the question?
Do you feel, were you aware of how special that was at that time? Because sometimes when you start working in the world and stuff, you start to kind of lose your zeal for that excitement.
Yeah, I knew it was special for me because I didn't have it before.
Right, yeah.
Like, if you lived in the city or like a New York or a bigger metropolitan area, for us, like a Raleigh or Charlotte, LA, like, you get to experience those things a lot. You get to go to shows and see artists. Like, there's culture everywhere. There was none of that existed how I grew up. So when I got to college, I did appreciate it because I wanted it so much, but I only got to see it through TV. I only got to see it through movies, so to actually be in it, to be hosting and be a part of it, like, I appreciated it like no other. Wow. So it was different for me in that way, versus somebody like, it's just a part of their everyday life.
Some people who grow up in Harlem and shit.
Yeah.
And
like,
they just are like so used to seeing shit. Like, and it's just,
that's what I mean.
Not as challenging, I guess. Yeah. Or even in LA, you can go walk by the Supreme store, you like see rappers all day and shit.
And it's just part of the everyday life.
Yeah.
Versus if that was like, people would go crazy. They would go nuts. Like, even to go to New York and be like, dang, that's Sedgwick Ave. And people that live around there, they're like, it's Sedgwick Ave. I walk past this every day where hip hop started. So it's just different.
Right.
It's a different appreciation.
I think that with the people in LA when it comes to the weather so much, I'm like, man, you people have no fucking clue how nice this is compared to the shitty ass weather I grew up in.
Where'd you grow up?
Like right outside Boston.
Ooh, bro.
New Hampshire. It's kind of legendary for snow.
It's definitely cold.
I really did not like cold.
I went there like a week ago. I was like, we got to go back.
Really?
It's fall for real over here.
Oh, yeah. The leaves. People come from all over the country and go, look at the leaves where I grew up. And that's a perfect example. I don't like, you want to look at the leaves?
Because they don't know nothing about the leaves changing color.
Fucking leaves they look the same. Like, they've always been doing that my whole life. I never really thought about it. But yeah, I guess they are kind of beautiful.
Oh, yeah. See, I noticed that too. But I live in North Carolina and it changes like that all the time.
So when you start rapping, how quickly did you take to it? Were you tight at first?
Look, so I was tight lyrically with words, but my cadence was off. My cadence was off. My voice was off. It was super high pitch, like dumb high pitch. Let me see, my inflections, like my joint was probably like real monotone. Like I did not sound confident at all, but I was lyrical. I've always been lyrical, so that's been since day one. I started out doing poetry, maybe like my 10th grade year of high school. Always read a lot, read books. So just the power to play with words and be creative. I was a artsy kid.
I was wondering
So,
if you had a poetry background, because
Yeah.
my girlfriend makes me go to the poetry lounges sometimes, and I was definitely thinking that.
makes me.
Yeah, it's not, once I get there, it's not a makes me thing, but just to like
Yeah.
put it in my calendar and make sure that I'm going to be there.
Yeah, no, that was a thing for me. So I knew I wanted to rap early, and I tried it like 11 or 12. Like I'm gonna test it out on my brother. We was cleaning up one Saturday morning. I pulled a vacuum hose out and I tried to freestyle. And he was like, "Yo, you freaking suck."
Wow.
So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna just write poetry." You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna do that no more. That happened, and we had like a pep rally at our high school. And I've been practicing my freestyle that I wrote all day. And when I got the mic, I froze,
Wow, really?
And so, so I was like, I'm just going to get into this poetry thing.
Whenever I'm at the poetry lounge, I'm always thinking about the poets as rappers. I'm like sitting there being this like vulture-ass A&R, just thinking like, could he be a rapper? Because it's such a different thing.
Man, it's so different. Like, even battle rap, rapping, and spoken word poetry are all different things. Like, you got to have different skill sets. Like, trying to take somebody in the poetry world and put them in the rap world, they try to rap, but in a poetic way, and your delivery is just completely different.
Have you ever seen it work, or is there anyone that I'm not thinking of who stands out as people that like came from the poetry scene and then became really popular as rappers, or is it usually kind of separate?
Not that I know of. Like, the only one I could think of is probably like Mos Def.
True.
But I don't even know if he started with poetry
He
first.
just seems like he would.
Because he
Seems
hosted
like
the
he wrote
show.
some poetry. Yeah.
That poetry champ. Like,
Yeah.
maybe, but nah. I always see rappers being able to do poetry and spoken word, but I mean, I guess so. Like, I started out in poetry first.
You seem too nice to be a battle rapper.
I am.
Was
But
that actually why it didn't work? Did you ever try that?
would I ever try
Or
it?
did you ever try? I just feel like that is just that's the most testosterone-fueled, aggressive shit on earth.
Yeah, I'm way too nice. You gotta there ain't no rules in that. You can't worry about hurting nobody's feelings. And I'd be like, man, I probably could write a great battle rap for somebody else. But it's something I never say. I'd be like, dang, that might be too hard.
I saw a battle where a girl pulled out a photo of the other girl's bed.
Yo.
And it was just like the nastiest bed. She's like, "This is your bed," and it was like, and everyone in the crowd was, "Oh!" And everyone just went with it. And I was just like, "Man, that's crazy." Because if that's not her bed, and it's just a picture of a random bed, and everyone just believed it, because why the fuck would you have a photo of a random ass person's bed? I'm like, that is genius.
Yo, straight up. Because once you got him, you got him, man.
Yeah.
I could probably battle rap today, though. My confidence is a little different.
Or if somebody dissed you like really good that you
Now
just
that,
wanted to
yeah.
wash them.
I practice those in my head every day.
Really?
Yes. When I'm driving, when I'm in the shower, I battle people in my head.
Oh my God. It would be
Just
such
to
a
stay
gift.
sharp.
If somebody whacked this, you, it would be just the biggest gift. Not even whacked, just somebody in general.
Yes. I mean, it'd be fun. It would be something I would like to, partake in.
Yeah.
For the sport.
It's weird that we live in this world, though, where nobody really talks shit on each other because everybody wants to keep the peace because they know that someone will write a song about them. And they'll be on TMZ
and they
every
ain't
day.
ready for the battle.
Yeah.
You got to really be cut from the cloth and secure. Everybody ain't really secure.
Yeah.
When it comes to really doing it.
Because that exposes all your deepest, darkest shit. They're going to pull up everything you ever, and it's just, I just think about how it's just a war of just egos up there on stage and just trying to just smash the other person. Like, the best, most devastating battles are the ones where the dude's actually like crying or like ashamed, like hanging his head and shit. Like, that's what you want to see. It's a brutal art form.
Yes, that, or it's just like they go blank. That's when you got them. But
You didn't get too deep in that though.
Nah, no.
So how do you fast forward to meeting Ninth Wonder and him actually taking you serious enough that he wanted to work with you on that level? Is there how far do we have to go to get to that point? Because that's incredible.
Let me see. Okay, I get to college and I ain't gonna say what year. But I met Ninth the summer of 2005 for the first time.
Okay. And he's just like the local god at that point, because he's got to be like the biggest name
No,
in
he
that
is the
scene,
local
right?
guy. Like, because at this time he's coming off a Black album, Mary J. Blige.
Probably nobody in
Destiny's
North
Child.
Carolina had anyone talking as much as he did at that
No,
time.
he was the god. J. Cole hadn't popped yet, so it was Ninth. Like, he was the biggest thing in hip hop to come from there. So I meet him in 2005. You know, randomly at this time, the summer before is when I write and record my first 2 songs ever. Like, I'm writing poetry at the time, like maybe some verses here, but to write a full song and record it, like, I probably did it 2 months before I met him. And he hears these 2 songs, which I'm like, it ain't nothing that's probably gonna impress him. You know, I'm happy with it, but you know, he listens to it and he runs it back maybe like 5 to 7 times.
Really?
And I'm thinking, like, he's probably gonna nitpick it and tell me, like, you need to do this and that. He looks up and he says, "That's your star." And it's a room full of guys, like, you know, all my friends that are in the hip hop organization. Charlie Smarts is there, and he says, "This is your star."
Wow.
Yeah. And after that, you know, he gives me homework. That's what he does. He gives me homework to work on my flow. Because, again, like, I'm lyrical, but the flow needs some work. Inflection needs some work. So he tells me, listen to Boop, 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 these albums, and listen to how they're saying it, not necessarily what they're saying. So I did that. I probably did that for like 3 months consistently. Like, it was at a point where I could get in the shower and rap the very first word to the very first song of the Black album to the very last one.
Wow.
I would do that all the way through. And, you know, he keeps in touch, you know, just to check in on us. Lets us come to the studio, watch little brother record sometimes. And, you know, he just continues to take me under his wing, give me lessons, you know. Then he goes to Central, he gets his own studio, so we start hanging out there. And I get a manager, and he's like, well, what are your short-term and long-term goals? And I'm like, well, I hear Ninth is starting a label. Like, you know, I'd love to be a part of it.
So
yeah.
you had been a little too scared to mention that to him directly beforehand? You just ended up saying it to the manager?
I just never thought about it, you know? Like, I think I'm so focused on working on the music and the homework, and, you know, he just presented the question, like, what are your goals? And I'm just like, well, let me think about it. I mean, I've been working with Ninth. I heard he's starting a label. I'd love to be a part of it. So we have a meeting, and Ninth was like, yeah, I'd love to have you. And this was 2009, and he officially announced the label sometime later that year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And was it a scenario where you were sort of like rushing to get stuff out, or was it a scenario where you wanted to like be incubated for a long time and just really try to build up your skill set before you revealed yourself to the world?
I think it was more so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to start. So for him just to give me homework, like, that was enough for me to focus on, to figure it out. Like, I knew I wanted to do a project. You know, I wanted to put something out, but I wanted to do it right. So I didn't know how to start. So whatever he told me to do, I did it. It didn't matter what it was. You know, I'd come in and do songs. He'd be like, write it over. I write it over. And I probably was developing in the beginning before I was not allowed, but able to even put out my first project for 2 years. You know, I probably did 300 or 400 songs. None of them will see the light of day, but it was all just development.
But you saw the value in that. Was that in any way frustrating? Because a lot of rappers get into that position, they got to work on their craft for 2 years, and it drives them insane.
No, not for me, because
you knew you
I
were
didn't have an
better.
ego. Yeah, and I knew I wasn't as good as everybody else.
Right.
So I wasn't in no rush. Like, I didn't feel like it was even time for me yet. There were so many people that were in and out of that studio, and they were so dope. And I was just like, man. So the frustrating part of me was with myself. Like, dang, why can't I ever consistently learn about cadence and keep it? Like, why am I always just going off of the cadence? You know, why can't I learn to write good hooks? Why are my hooks sucking? You know, so it was more frustration with me of just wanting to be better. I necessarily wasn't worried about, like, oh, I need to get this project out. Why is this taking so long? My frustration, like, I got to get these things Ninth told me to mark off the checklist to master to be a great MC. I got to get this right. So that was the thing I was focusing on.
I feel like you're like the last generation that might have grown up with that sort of mind state.
Yeah,
I don't hear anything like that from a lot of the young artists
For
I talk
real?
to.
Man, I don't know. I play sports too, so that might have had something to do with it. Like, I think that
What'd you play?
I play basketball, so I learned a lot of things I learned through basketball I was able to apply to music, like about work ethic. I was always the first to practice, last to leave. I was team captain, so the same thing with the studio. If Ninth got there at 4, I would get there at 4. But if he stayed till 5 in the morning, I'm staying till 8 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever he did, I had to do more of. 'Cause, how are you, Ninth Wonder, who's got a Grammy nomination, work with Jay, Mary, all these people. And if you working this much, and I know I need to work 10 times harder than that. So that was like my thing. And that I knew that in order to get better, I had to practice. It's like shooting free throws.
Right.
So that was always my mind state.